Good morning, everybody. My name is Michelle Faithful, and I'm facilitating this very inspiring conversation this morning. And before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we are all meeting on today. That would be the Awabakal and Worimi people, and to recognise elders past, present and emerging, and any also to acknowledge any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders in the room today. We've got a lot to get through today, and we haven't got a huge amount of time, but there will be some time for some questions. I'm sure there'll be plenty, but this is a huge journey, a huge story, and there's lots to talk about. There are a few things I'd like to talk about first, just quickly. So I'd like to, we have a sponsor for the year again. So this event, for those of you that haven't attended these NFP Connect breakfasts, the founder, Grace McLean, has passed the baton on to a new committee. There's a group of us here today that are running this one for the first time. And we'll hear from Grace in a minute. She's sent us a little video. She's up in Noosa at the moment, but she's doing all sorts of new things with her life. But we're carrying on the legacy of NFP Connect. And thank you, all of you, for being here today. You're all part of that community. So I would like to invite Kylie Daniels from Beyond Bank up for a couple of minutes, just to have a bit of a chat about Beyond Bank and all the wonderful things that they do.
Welcome everybody. My name's Kylie Daniels, and I have the privilege of actually being the National Manager of Community Team of Beyond Bank. For those of you who don't know who we are, we're a customer-owned bank, which means profits don't need to go back to shareholders. We're so fortunate we get to reinvest back into our communities. Each year we invest about 1.5 million back across the country into the amazing charities that are in this room and beyond. So we're thrilled, and a big shout out to the committee who have pulled this back together. I know Grace's legacy will continue on. It's in good hands, and we're incredibly proud to be part of it again. So looking forward to today.
Thanks, Carl. Before I play the video of Grace's little message, I'd just like to thank the team at Soul Cafe. Thank you so much, guys, for having us here today, and for all your hard work, giving us a beautiful breakfast. So, yeah, thanks, man, up the back there, driving all the things. Okay, so we're just going to hear from Grace before we start the rest of the conversation this morning. And yeah, you ready to go?
Good morning, welcome to the NFP Connect February breakfast. I started NFP Connect in 2012, actually in 2011 as a coffee group, and in the room, some of the people that were in that coffee group welcomed you. People like Donna George, Kim Britton, and there's also Marissa in the room, Marissa Wilson. NFP Connect was never supposed to end with me. It was always supposed to be, my dream for it was always supposed to be an organisation of community for community. And I'm so proud that NFP Connect Incorporated has continued on and has been created to continue on the legacy that I made. I'm so proud of the team for bringing that on. I want to thank each and every one of you. And I'd like you to raise your hand if you've ever attended an NFP Connect breakfast before. And I just want to say thank you to you for supporting me throughout the years. I know that this legacy will continue on in all its glory, in bringing together businesses and charities. And I'm so proud of the team, run by Nikki, supported by Kim, Donna, Michelle, Megan, Susie, and all the others that will get involved. I want to just encourage you all to support this organisation and the team, because I know that NFP Connect really will be and is a life-changing organisation. It supports so many people and has supported so many people. It's supported so many organisations over the years in bringing together organisations, charities, businesses, not-for-profits, and helping each other educate and support each other. That was the aim and the goal. With no expectation, but just to collaborate and find a new way of doing things, which we are doing. So I'm super proud and ask you to just support the team. Thank you to Phil and Lawson for coming and speaking this morning, and to Soul Cafe for always supporting us, Kylie Daniels for always supporting us, and particularly me throughout the years from Beyond Bank. I just want to bless you all and say thank you for continuing on the legacy. And I just ask that you support those that are continuing on this legacy. Good morning and welcome to the NFP Connect.
Detected a little bit of emotion there. That's been her baby for a long time, so it's a big thing for her to hand this over. Can I just see a show of hands who has been to one of these breakfasts before? Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, it's great to be back in the same room. It's a really lovely turnout this morning as well. Okay, so now it's time to introduce our guest speakers this morning. So we have Lawson and Philip Rankin and Lynette Aiken from Headstart ABI Services. Just come up here and we'll have a bit of a chat, and we've got a video to watch as well. I'm not sure if everybody's seen the video that we put in the link for getting tickets, but we will be showing part of that this morning as well. Thank you so much for coming this morning. Really appreciate you getting up early. Are you an early riser? I am actually. Oh, good. Great. Where's that microphone? Yeah. We're not going to talk just yet, but what we'll do is we'll show a little video. It goes for about 9 minutes, but it's really encapsulates, obviously, the first part at least of, this family's journey. And then we'll have a bit of a chat after that.
We're extremely blessed. We've got an amazing lifestyle, we live close to the beach, we've got an awesome house, great families around us. We're all reasonably healthy and fit and strong, eat well. What more could we ask for? Life is truly awesome. It really seemed like paradise. We couldn't wish for anything more, really. And then the phone call came at 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and nothing was ever going to be the same.
I reckon we've probably known each other 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, give or take. We're a pretty tight group. All live in Newcastle, doing stuff together, sport, school.
Well, for me, during the HSC, Bali was the light at the end of the tunnel. It was my motivation, just to get the next exam done. We're in Canggu, which is half an hour away from where we were staying, at this place, on the beach, having a couple of beers, and Lawson got up on the stage with the microphone. What song were you singing? To go back to the villa. Yeah, and that was probably the last normal moment of the trip. Me on Matt's bike, Lawson was on his own bike, Taj and Jay were on their own scooter, and I was the one with the maps on my phone with the directions to get back to the villa. And then all of a sudden, this bloke on this motorbike zoomed past me, snatched the phone out, zoomed off on a dirt bike. We were 2 people on a scooter. I'm not going to really chase myself, but Lawson had a crack at him. It was pretty dark, just in some Bali back streets somewhere. We didn't know where we were. Lawson sped off, went around the corner. We lost him. Driving along the road, we just saw this bike just lodged in this kind of drain. I don't know if the kilometre thing was right, but I was on 90 k's on this old bashed up Bali scooter with him on the back, flying, and you were sort of we slow down, we'll find our way. And then anyway, came round and you had a red helmet on. We came around this corner and that was the first thing I seen was a red helmet over in the grass.
And with his helmet as well, it was smashed in half basically.
In Bali, they have these open drainage system. Yeah, driveway went across, so I was it was lodged in there smoking. Pulled the bike off and we saw Lawson lying, lying in the water.
So we just pulled pretty much lifeless, limp body, so it'd take quite a few of us to get him out. I don't know, it's just heavy. Something you don't want to do to your mate.
Your face was all blue. Over your lip was blue. Seeing the blood coming out of your head. I ripped my shirt off, wrapped it around your head, to try to stop the bleeding, and then couldn't really get any response out of you. And then Blake started doing CPR, and then he coughed up a bit of water, and then snoring. I remember it sounded like he was snoring. It sounded so bad.
He was face down in the drain. We didn't know, he could have been there for minutes, face down in this water, dirty water as well. This is not clean shit.
Yeah. These two boys went back to the villa. Me and Matt were riding in the ambulance with Lawson.
It was the longest trip of my life. I don't think the hospital was actually that far away, but it just felt like forever.
I honestly thought that Lawson was going to die.
Woke up, the phone showed Nelson's name, 4 a.m. The parents' worst nightmare had begun.
We just hugged each other, and the realisation that our son was in a foreign country and it didn't look like he was going to make it.
By 6 a.m, I was in the car on the way to Sydney. By 9:30 on a plane to Bali. There was one thing on my mind, that Lawson, if I was him, I would just want someone that I knew in my family to hold my hand before I died, if that was going to be the case. So I just knew I wanted to get there to see him and at least be there for him. I got to Bali and we went straight to hospital, straight in to hold Lawson's hand, and basically said, Lawson, I'm here to take you home.
It's very difficult talking about it now because we really thought we lost him. And
Lawson was struggling literally breath by breath for the first 3 days. It was literally listening to him to struggle for every breath. My twin brother arrived that Sunday night, 2 other sons both arrived, Nelson that night as well, and Campbell the next day. So there was plenty of love and support in the room.
the medical bills from the Bali International Hospital, they were like $5,000-6,000 a day. And so I was organising in the finance department back here. Even though he had travel insurance, he didn't have a motorcycle licence, so the insurance was null and void. So therefore, medical bills, the Medivac flights were from $90,000 to $150,000 was going to have to be paid by us. So not only did we have Lawson hoping that he'd survive and on life support, we had the financial side of things, and we knew the best chance for Lawson to survive was to get him back to Australia.
Nelson tried to drag me away from the bed and said, "Dad, you've got to come and have a look at this response in the GoFundMe." Our community here in Newcastle, the surf club, the friends and family, the distant relationships that we all had, it seemed that the whole world was forcing a medical rescue to come home, and it was at that point in time I knew there was our trip home. At any point in time, it was only a matter of minutes something could have stopped the whole operation. The plane had 20 minutes on the ground to get down, get Lawson on the plane and get off the ground. Even transporting Lawson was dangerous. We've got him literally under life support in an Indonesian ambulance. We've all had to go through customs, and so anything could have stopped us at any point in time.
As soon as Lawson left the hospital in the police escort, headed to the airfield, we were like, we've done our job, we've done the best we could.
Lawson came in on that Sunday night. We had to get some scans to see how bad things were. He was in a very bad state, one of the worst brain injuries we've probably seen here at Prince of Wales. The scan was not a reassuring scan, shall we say. One of my neurology colleagues described it as the worst scan he'd ever seen in a brain injured patient. So we had a meeting on the Monday night with the family. We discussed what the prognosis and the outcomes would possibly be, trying to be honest, which we always are with everybody, and saying that, you know, the possibilities are Lawson will not recover at all and will die because of the brain injury that he suffered. Even if Lawson survived this, he could end up in a vegetative state, or he could end up in a very severely disabled state. My team felt that we should persist, and we didn't have enough information to actually make hard decisions. You know, we couldn't give up at that stage, and we felt we had to persist and see what would happen.
Thanks. Thank you, Matt. What I would like to, I guess, start with is, you know, we're a community here, and particularly Newcastle is a community like none other I've ever experienced, and I think you might feel the same. You know, I've been here, I don't know, 16 or 17 years, and lived in many other places around Australia, but the sense of community here is really something special. And obviously, you know, you look at that first part of the journey, and then the next part is full-blown recovery, and then, you know, we look into the future, so what that holds. But I'd like to ask you, Lawson, what does community mean to you, given that experience that you've just been through, that you're still going through? I'm asking you. You don't want to answer?
I'll be first.
Okay, sure.
There was
Yeah.
There was a couple of angel moments along the whole trip, and I'll try and get through them, take a big breath. But one of the angel moments, I call them, was like there's this out of body mind. You're not even in control. You think you are. You're going 100 miles an hour. There's 1,000 things happening. You've got one decision to make every second. And there was moments where it was just like, oh, like, I got nothing to do with this. And one was when I hopped onto the plane. Nelson had actually booked my tickets on holding the phone on the way down to Sydney, and it was trying to talk and stay present. And Lawson had booked the ticket. I got to the counter and said, "Here's a, you can't go. I can't let you on the plane. You haven't got a return ticket." So I'll make it really quick. But Lawson dodged up this ticket, and Nelson dodged up this ticket and handed it back to the lady, and she said, "Oh, that's fine, you're coming back in April," or something like that, ridiculous. And it's like, oh my God, how did that happen? The next moment was probably the biggest special moment that I knew that we were going to get home alive. Was Nelson had pulled me away from that bed and said, "Oh, you've got to come see the GoFundMe." And I said, "No, I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with the money side of things." I said, "We'll mortgage the house. Teresa's on the way to the bank. The bank, St George, unfortunately, we could swap maybe after this." But and he said, so about 20 minutes later, he came back and said, "No, Dad, you've got to come and have a look at this," and grabbed me by the shoulder, dragged me out. Literally, "Come on, just come and have a look at this. He'll be right for a second." And anyway, got out, and I started scrolling on the phone, as an old man does, and scrolled and said, "I can't get to the bottom of this. Nelson, where's the bottom of this?" And he said, "Dad, there is no bottom to it. Every 20 seconds there was someone putting some $5 or $50, or it went from $5 to 5,000, and there was just this angel moment. I just thought, we're going home." And so it was phenomenal to read the comments in an ICU and an international hospital. "Come on, Lawson, hurry up. I remember when you used to hit me in a tackle, and you're a tough guy. Come on, get yourself home." Just the most littlest comment made such a mountain of difference. So what does community mean to me? It just meant I knew where home was, basically.
Absolutely.
Like, sense of community. Like, I've been reading heaps of books, like, on the mind, and like, it's kind of really helped me kind of keep a good mindset. And in one of the really good books, says one of the most important things in life is the sense of belonging kind of thing, and the community feeling, and just like thinking that you have a place, and just like knowing that, feeling it from other people. It's like the love and compassion from people is one of the most important things is one that innate things we kind of strive for in life. And like going through this, it's been like obviously you've seen the darkness, you've seen all like my parents cry, and like even you might shed tears just watching it, but kind of see the beauty in it, like the beauty of like friends, family coming together. Like GoFundMe was freaking crazy. Like did they just have to stop it at one point because he thought it was like a someone scamming money? Like,
Yeah, the head of GoFundMe rang later to transfer the funds and said, I saw, here we go for a contest, we're going to haggle with the funds. There was $228,000 raised in 3 or 4 days, 3.5 days, and he rang and said, look, the money's fine, we've ID'd your wife, the bank, everything's legit. They go through everything to make sure that he's right. He said, so that's fine. He said, put that aside. I just want to ask you one question. Who are you? And where? Yeah. He said, we thought that you were laundering money. And he said, until we saw $5 and $10 and $20 and $50, he said, it's the fastest growing category in the medical emergency in GoFundMe in the shortest amount of time with the most amount of money, he said. And I said, well, if you want to know who we are, you just got to come to Newcastle.
And yeah, like kind of see the beauty in that, the kind of town we live in, the kind of that community feeling, and I think it kind of means life, and it's just love, compassion and stuff.
Well, I mean, as humans, innately, we want to help each other. We were born with that, or most of us born with that in us. But there's the other side of us as well where, we think we need to do it tough, we need to get on and we don't need help from others. And, obviously when you have an experience like yours and you do need the support of others, I mean, accepting that graciously, I guess. And I mean, your situation, you probably weren't aware of a lot of it for the early part. But I mean, the other thing I really wanted to sort of hone in on with you is you talk about mindset, and there's a longer part of the video. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it, but you talk about somebody that you met said that the whole accident really mucked up your life. But you've taken a different view to that, and I love that view where you say that the incident or the accident or the experience has made you who you are. You wouldn't be. So do you want to talk a bit about that?
So when the person I was with at the time, she didn't say it's mucked up my life. She said it with an F. Yeah, and tissue. And yeah, like someone in my spot was probably kind of be like sad or shocked and kind of angry at him for saying that to me. Like, it's like raw. It's like straight to my face, and I was like, well, I don't see it that way, and it kind of like makes me grateful for. Because like think about it, like the kind of perception that she'll take in like when mums get hard in life, like and she's like drops it off. Fucked up my life. Like think about like everyday life. I think about like you think about the things that have gone wrong this morning. If you had like no petrol in your car, had no food in the fridge, if your dad bloody drank on the milk, or if you bloody ate all your favourite cereal, or yeah, just like the things that go wrong. all day, every single day in your life, and like your perception of those things kind of creates the meaning to it. It's in one of the books I read in Adelaide Psychology. Success or failure doesn't come from the things we experience in life. It comes from our perception of it. And it's the old parable of the two door knockers that lived like right next door to each other. They did the same job, and then it was like pouring down one day, and then the door knocking in the first house woke up. Oh fuck! It's raining. How could they expect me to go outside? I might get a cold. Like, I'm just gonna stay home and watch movies, put on Netflix and get into some chocolate. And then the door knocking in house number 2, right next door, said, "Oh, sick! It's raining. There'll be no door knockers out, yeah, and everyone will be home. That's sick. I'm gonna get a chocolate and raincoat and my umbrella. This is awesome. I'm gonna have a sick day at work today." So the same day, like pretty much the exact same kind of experience, but only because of the different perception of it is like fully changes their life. And so I kind of the viewpoint from that experience was kind of like being grateful for the family that my mum and dad, they kind of brought me up the way they did, and just like show me how much worse or like how important the perception you take is.
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, family is everything as well, and it's that growth mindset versus the victim mindset, you know, and not everybody can master that, but obviously the support of your family and, you know, being able to, like, you've been through so much physically as well as mentally, and you know, watching that video is just amazing, the journey that you've been through to get yourself walking and talking and doing all of those things. And I'll probably throw to Lynette, you know, part of that recovery process is bringing in support from organisations that, you know, help people in this situation, and maybe you can throw a few words around how that looked for Headstart ABI and Lawson's journey as well.
So I guess it could happen to any of us, like it happened to Lawson, like we're leading a normal life, family, go to work until that day where something happens, whether it's a motorcycle accident, car accident, stroke, you know, you have a tumour, you're near drowning, anything that can change our lives like that. And your life that you knew it beforehand has been taken away, and now you've got this new life to adjust to. Lawson and his family have adjusted really well, but I'm sure it was quite a journey to adjust. And a lot of people don't have Lawson's positive mindset either. So Headstart come in with support workers who are trained in ABI, so we only work with people who have had acquired brain injuries and dealing with such major changes in their lives. And then our support workers will work with each person individually, work with their family, to find out exactly what it is that they need to get on their journey and their road to recovery, whether it's to try and lead a life that is similar to what they had before, or whether it's a completely new life with new interests because their lives changed so much. So that's where Headstart gets involved. Lawson kind of runs his own journey, which is great. He tells us what we need to do and where we need to go and what we're doing. Whereas other consumers, we need to, you know, give suggestions and get them and their family to talk about what might be best for them, and then we go along with what they want. So each consumer is so individual. Acquired brain injuries are so individual. One person can have a stroke and wake up and be okay walking, talking. Other person is completely left paralysed down one side. And so everyone's journey is so different, and we try to work with each person's individual journey.
Thanks, Lynette. Philip, I know you've got lots to say, so I'm not going to tell you what to say, but I know you've got lots you want to get out. I might just throw to you for a little bit to just, you know, give us some insight on your perspective and the things that have happened along the way.
Yeah, we got 2 days. Okay. Can I have some feeding? No.
Food's coming. You're going to get a big meal.
Work first, eat second. Sorry, should have gotten up earlier and got here earlier. Yeah, great. Okay, do you want me to talk to this? Yeah, I think probably that's a good way to start. I mean, you can have questions after it if you like, so you can hit some lights if you want. Normal family, we're normal. I just want to say the Headstart, just say those people that in the Headstart and a lot like them, and right through our whole journey, they are gifted and they just do special things that don't add up, that are not here sitting at a seat here today. But the nurses, the carers, the light givers, the unforeseen stuff that heals along the way can never be measured. We're just one of the fortunate families that have come so far. We're so lucky, and we've seen a lot along the way that will maybe never get the opportunities that Lawson has. So we can rotate this through these fairly quickly. And yeah, we're good to go. So next one, and Lawson was a touch footy, 4-time state champion in football. He's got a dedicated attitude to his sport, but just for the love of it, good to go. Player's player in his under 13 grand final, knows how to win, and it's a message for all of us. It's like you don't have to win a trophy each day, but if you just give a little bit more than thinking about ourselves, then the world's a better place. Good to go. We can rotate through. That's the photo, Lawson, of the hottest boy and hottest girl, and the worst one on the right is a legendary scav hunt player. No, go back. All right, so the journey started, the phone call came, and good to go. In the hospital in the Bali there and do the medical evacuation. There is no guidebook for a medical evacuation, by the way. If you get one, you just got to start to Google it, and away you go. We didn't even know what the word was, medical evacuation. So in any case, that was all done. Incredible team on the Gold Coast, story after story. Was saying our goodbyes there in a sense, and Lawson was in a coma on pretty much life support in Bali Hospital. And in fact, the ICU was full. The second guy that came in actually died 2 days later of MSRA. It was the superbug in Bali that's unkillable, whatever that is. But he actually flew to Singapore and died 2 days later with the same bug Lawson got, and he was actually in the same bed. So again, we escaped. There's a couple of movies there, but I don't think we've got time. That's a video shot there of actually a bit of life. If you think people are hearing you in a coma, you're right. All right, so it sometimes maybe more so than others, but there'll be times where... And so it was really important not to let any energy in the room that was crying, upset, negative, oh my God, is he going to die? We will never play for NRL again, or this. It was just a constant stream of gate, like yous and rams. No, wait outside, please. It was not myself. I just told people, go outside, tell me when you're ready, because think positive. Not even think positive, just be well in yourself. If he is going to die, then be well about that as well. Okay, so... just 35-degree heat, umbrella. That was the head of the Denbighshire Police there on the right-hand side that helped with the police escort. We've got Nelson, Lawson's son, good to rotate. That's the A-team, that's my twin brother in the middle, David, who flew over. Chrissy De Leon, there's a story there you can see in the long video. She's a Florence Nightingale nurse, a long time 40-year friend of the family, happened to be in Bali. Angel moment. She's one of 4 Australians with the Florence Nightingale medal in ICU, and basically negotiated between me and the doctor to keep me back from the doctor, and spoke very well, so we got on fine. There's a story, good to go. The rescuers on the left-hand side, they came home, arrived in Bali. Teresa's at home by herself. We're still in Bali, obviously. This is all the boys that came to the house to see Therese that were in Bali. And at that moment, they'd finished Therese and her cousin Taryn finished the GoFundMe chapter. And basically, Therese got it when they were there and said, if you want to help, how can we do help, Therese? I'll get this out on GoFundMe. So that's sort of the moment that happened. In the aeroplane on the left-hand side, sitting back, the doctor in the aeroplane was just amazing. He said, Philip, his vital signs are the best I've seen them in the whole week, and he went through for 3 hours just going through everything, checking everything. He had a buddy with him, and he had a bag of drugs like you would not believe. He said he won't be dying on this flight. I went, no, good. Oh, great. Unreal. Maybe in Sydney. So that was, at least we had a time together where I knew he was going to be alive for 6 hours. It sounds funny now. It was, you know what it was like. Imagine what it was like. So tears rolling down your cheek on a Learjet. So you're good to go. Dr. Gordon Flynn was sent away the scans, and he got back and said the German neuro physician said, don't put a tracking in him. He's not going to make it. You're just going to keep him alive for his parents to look after him for the rest of his life. He's going to be a vegetable. And he said, and Dr. Flynn just went, His mum sat there, his dad stood there, never sit down. He was strong, young, he had a background, and I just couldn't believe the support that was streaming in coming. He says, I've got a hunch. So Dr. Flynn put a trackie in him. Right? So he's an amazing guy, we're good friends today. And I'm going to show you something that's happened that we had no idea that was going to happen. I do a biochemistry test. Over in the back there's a little kit there. I test urine and saliva for the last 14 years and develop software, etc. I come from a broken state, bankrupted, and Reuben Lawson's cousin here, his sister, was lost in a drowning accident. This was 14 years ago. Fast forward, I took my kit in the back door at 3 a.m. at the Sydney Hospital, and the head of Prince of Wales said, "What's this?" I said, "I'm his father, that's my life's work." He goes, "Well, if that affects the vital signs, I'm going to ask you to leave. My job's keeping him alive." I said, "He's dehydrated." "How do you know that?" So fast forward now, for 3 weeks we tested his urine. I hope you've had your breakfast, but here on the left-hand side was when we started. By the time we finished, in 2 weeks, we got the urine hydrated. And Dr. Gordon Flynn was floored. He just said, "I cannot believe you can tell me this in the ICU. You've snuck in at 3 a.m. It takes 17 years to get a new invention into ICU, 13 to 17 years or something. Away we go." And so basically now, I want to share with you what it means for community support. This is now going to a case study. It'll be in a clinical trial at some point this year to test the urine in the ICU when people are asleep and they can't talk. And basically they just look at them and go on his weight, and gave him 1.2 litres and some very disgusting food in through the NG food, and they thought was everything that he had, but he actually went down to 67 kilos. So he was literally, by the time we got back to Newcastle, he was 67 kilos, and I just cracked it. And I said, he's going to die of malnutrition and forget everything else. And that was honest. So now we've got, I just want to make that point because you never, ever, ever know where your stuff ends up, or what your passion and what your belief it is, and why you wake up and try and find a park in the early morning breakfast, and running late. And so whatever you're doing, just live it, love it, and just get into it. You never know when it's going to show up. I've walked in and he said, I just cannot believe you've come in here through the back door at 3 a.m. with your kit. And now we're going to a clinical trial by the end of the year. And that will be for every hospital in the world. Gordon Flynn sets up hospitals. A simple test, just to test salts and sugars, and then he was chronically dehydrated. And we know what that means for a brain injury, if you're dehydrated in your brain. Start with that. So his health score went up to the roof. So we can rip through these now. Some of the other neurosurgeons from the footy team. Right, and Rankin Park Hospital, absolutely phenomenal. Aidan was the first one to get him out of bed and said, right, we're going to work. And one of the first sentences Aidan says, right, okay, let's get started. I want you to do 10 of those. And Lawson sort of, why 10? Like, you know, and that death pan, when you've got a brain injury, there's no tone, there's no muscle, there's no tongue. It's like, why 10? Aidan said, 10. He goes, why not 20? That's why he is today. Good to go. We can rip through these, and some pretty scary times, and every day we just honestly didn't know if he's going to, from the start when we woke up, whether he's going to talk. Then when they took the trachea out, you can go through those to stop if you want to have it. So here you can watch this one. This is when he started. This is the first day he stood up type thing. It was pretty scary. We didn't know if he was going to walk before this, going to talk before the trachea came out. And so every day is a winning pose for us at the end of the day.
go back to the video, please. And like you see, play it, please.
Play that video as a play on.
And just like go forward go halfway through, yeah. See how I had to like look down at my feet, but I also couldn't move them. And I was saying, look up. I was like, I couldn't speak. I was like, I can't move them unless I look at them. Shut up. And like, yeah, obviously my posture's pretty bad, but couldn't really walk without look at him.
We did. We just didn't want to end up like this. We thought we were trying to, retrain the body to straighten up again and go, oh, don't walk like this, Lawson. And he was trying to watch his feet. No, we didn't know what we were doing. Nick Kyrgios actually heard about the story. There's a friend you can't see her there. She's a friend of ours in the United States, a twin. And she went up to Nick and said, we've got this boy. He said, yeah, I've heard about this. Oh, he said, so he wrote on this, you've got this Lawson. So Lawson was actually coming out of his comatose state in hospital watching the Australian Open, I think, back in January 2020, and thought he said to Therese one night before she left, he said, listen, you've got to come here early, get me up early. Why is that? She said, I'm playing Nick in the morning. He can say better.
Alright, so Mum's was like going. She was like leaving the room one night. I was like, she's like, oh, what, Lawson? And I was like, tell Nick I can't play tomorrow. And she was, play what? I was like, oh, play tennis in the Oz Open. And she's like, you're not playing it. And I was like, yeah, I am. Call him up and tell him I can't play, please. Yeah. And also, I thought I was an MMA fighter. One day, that was another story.
Yeah, we were sort of worried, should we take the telly out of the room because it's going to affect his brain? Seriously, there's some scary times at the moment. Here's the HBiz. On the left-hand side, there's a video there worth looking at it. This was the day on the right-hand side we actually left after 7 months in hospital. So we left the HBiz in tears on our way home to get into his own bed. We'd been home, the OT had been out to the house to check the house, and we're walking up the front steps. She said, oh, okay, there'll be a handrail I'll be putting on here. And Lawson again looked at me with the death stare and said, no handrail. So, okay, what about a temporary one? We're good to go. There's a few more, and I'll be very quick now. So I'll just want to quickly go through some of the things that we've done again, just to remind you, all of us, we're all the same. Whatever you're doing, you can rotate through these. We've tried so many different things. Ralph Wrong in Merriweather with electroacupuncture ended up, Lawson, give me the controls, and dials it right up, and he's just sitting there shaking away. All I could think of is one who flew over the cuckoo's nest. Lawson, don't do that. Mark Banks from Foster came down. We had people come from everywhere. Good to go. Chiropractor doing kinesiology. Inga over at Merriweather. It's all here in Newcastle, which is what an amazing place is. Most of the things we've done are all here in Newcastle. Inga retrains the brain from 0 age to 2 years old again. She goes back to every muscle, every movement. If you watch a baby roll from its back and get up and crawl and stand, that's what she did for Lawson, to retrain his body and brain again, reprogram the body. Good to go just quickly now, because I'll show you. Laura Lovelock, cranial sacral, and a good friend of hers, Maria, does orthobiotomy. Just fascinating. If it doesn't hurt him, and fine, just do it. If it works, do it. If it doesn't, like Lawson said, find something else. Nam Baldwin, breath enhancement. Mick Kane, stretching, a stretch machine that he actually invented. This has been amazing for Lawson, electrostimulation. He may talk to you about it. Good to go. The guys over at Mayfield at Engage VR, this is not a promotion, this is a show you here, it's in Newcastle. Everything here, just kick open the front doors and knock on the doors. That's a video worth watching just quickly. That's 10 seconds. And that's a $300,000 device that they put in there. He's following a program there, watching it with his mind, muscle, hand, feet, everything's working. And when we first went there, we'd go for 20 minutes, he'd sleep for 4 hours. By the end, he could do some amazing things in a very short period of time, 3 years. Chris Mortison's a co-medical director for WSL, came and did a whole heap of balance from what he does with surfers, and we measured the balance on his feet there, etc. Good to go. Justin Burkhardt was amazing, Reiki, Bowen, me, mental health, all the anxiety we went through. Lawson walked his team out in the under-19s. Big Tom's here, a good friend of Lawson's. Watched him walk out the team, and I tell you what, there was no one going to beat them that day. Those boys walked out in a dead stroll, very sombre, very thought, and goodness me, the power that in the huddle together in the room was tear-jerking. Video on the right worth watching over at the International Sports Centre there. This is a zero gravity treadmill. Lifts up half his weight. He's walking on with 40 kilos there rather than 90, and found the speed button. Speed, lead the speed. Good to go. Turn that one. And some books that Lawson's just really enjoyed, and really some amazing things, and he can share with you maybe another time some of that power of the subconscious mind coming from a brain injury is fascinating. We've all got it. It's all inside, we're all the same. And so if you could just listen to some of the stuff that we've done there. And this was an important statement for me, and it might embarrass Lawson, but I said to you, do you feel obligated? A lot of people have given you money, and there's been a lot of incredible support. I just wanted to check in. I didn't think you had to be. I just said, you feel obligated to all those people. And that's his statement at the end. After that, it was just like, oh, good, I'm done. I can go for a swim. And he said to me, I can only thank them by doing my best. That's it. So that's for everybody.
It's just mind-blowing. I have no other words. It's an incredible journey, and that you've all been on, and the fact that a lot of that support is here in Newcastle, that also blows my mind. It's something I wouldn't have envisaged or known about. I thank you so much for all of you for talking about that. I would maybe want to throw a couple of questions out to the guests here today, if anybody has any questions. Yeah?
Hi Lawson, I'm Jules. Just by your attitude and your choice of reading material, I can tell you live in the moment and day by day. But do you have a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year plan?
Yeah, 100%. I'll run, play footy, and just go talk to schools, go inspire others, and just. I kind of think that story will speak for itself, kind of thing. Once I run, play footy, and it'll kind of write its own story. And so that's kind of my viewpoint. I'm keen to go over to go do an exchange SEM or year. Maybe I'm gonna learn Spanish this year, and because I know learning a second language is really good for the brain, and so I'm going to learn a bit of that, and hopefully travel.
You've just recently been snowboarding, haven't you?
Yeah.
In Japan or somewhere?
Yeah. And it's crazy. The snow girl, they get more snow at the airport than we do here. It was mental. You should have seen the old Japanese fellas snow shoveling the snow off their driveway. It was like a mountain of snow, and it was every single morning. It was snow 24/7 there. It was crazy, and Mum came back and she was like, I'm not going back to Oslo. We're going back there next year.
Does anybody else have any questions they'd like to ask?
Sure.
Anybody here?
Something,
Yeah, sure.
just anything.
Oh, hang on, we've got one. Oh, here we go.
Hola, Losen, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien. What is it? Kede? Where are you from?
Donde vengo?
Chile. Really?
We have a few little minutes left. If nobody else has any other questions or any more lessons in Spanish, look, if you've got anything else that you want to contribute, we've got a few minutes, and if you want to have a bit more of a chat, I know there's so much to talk about, and I guess I don't necessarily have to sit here and link your experience with community and why we're all here in this room, and obviously we're really interested in hearing your journey and your experience, but the importance of connection and really reaching out and having that support is
There's a couple
just
of thoughts.
instrumental.
There's a couple of thoughts, and Lawson, you might like to comment on this better. We're going through a phase in the world. We've all gone through some mental, issues, if you like, and I think for there is no one answer. There's no one answer. It's really, to me, it's been such a gift to stay in the moment of the whole journey, not think about, say, the past, whether it was sport or what we had in mind for Lawson, what we thought his life was going to be like, etc. When the event happened, as we all have had events happen in our life, and each one's pain is their own pain and suffering, and so I don't see this as anything different than what you're going through or what you've been through or what people have been through. More or less, it's not about comparing. When we get into the adjectives and adverbs, that's the suffering. It's like it just happened, and for me personally, it's been very upsetting, very traumatic, of course. But whenever I go back to this moment and not worry about what anyone's thinking or feeling, etc., whether they like you or don't like you, etc., for me, it's been a lesson in, and I hate to say it, in the mindfulness, being in the moment. But I had this opportunity that in the hospital in Bali, in Sydney, in Newcastle, if you thought back, you're going downhill. It meant death. We were in a life and death situation. So we were gifted an opportunity to go, well, if you stay here, we'll just take breath by breath. And in the end, and during it, if you like, I was accepting death. I actually was, okay, if you go, I don't want him back as a vegetable. I was just sharing with my thoughts. You probably don't know this, but if I thought of the future, what's it going to be like? Can he walk? Can he talk? Can he... Just hang on a minute. We went down to a kinesiologist down in Wollongong, and Lawson's hand was quite spastic left hand. You wouldn't recognise it today, in a sense. And Bernard, the kinesiologist, 80 years old, and mine, just a beautiful soul. Bernard, how do you do this? He said, what? How do you do what? When you walk into the room, what were you going to do for Lawson? I don't know. And he says, when Lawson came in the room, all I could think of was, Lawson, hi, welcome today. What are you going to teach me? And here's the Bernard. He was 40 years in the making, and he was the first one to move his little finger like this because his spleen had been pushed out of place. The spleen's connected to the little finger. Oh, don't quote me. Don't go and do a PhD on it. Bernard's learned it. And Lawson's just going, you're God. and he was true, right? Like, he actually had tapped into how God made us. He was right, Bernard was right, and Bernard goes, what? You're God. He goes, no, I'm just working out how God made us. And so in the moments are so beautiful, and the minute I start worrying about myself, it's like my life goes shit. And so I just share that with you because we are all in this arena here because of people bridging and gaps between ourselves, and it's like, don't worry about the past, don't worry about it's gone, don't worry about the future. Seriously, it just brings so much suffering. And I said, just do what you can in the moment. You know, if the parking's not there, go up the street, find a parking. I met someone along the way walking back, so it'll work itself out.
As they say, experiences really are the making of us, aren't they? I mean, I've got some personal experience with that myself, and it's how you live through that experience and what you do afterwards is really important. Some of you might know Phil and I, absolute Bruce Springsteen tragics. We met many years ago at a Bruce Springsteen concert, and I'd just like to, maybe in the words of Bruce, he's tougher than the rest, this one.
That's right.
He definitely is. And look, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story here today.
Probably just leave you with the Buddhism first, or what is it? The first law of the universe. I can't remember what they're called, but like life is suffering. Like look at everyday life kind of thing, and then kind of link it to Jordan Peterson's quote: "A hurricane is an act of God, but when failure to prepare, when preparation is a necessity, that's a sin." And like you gotta look at it at our everyday life kind of thing. Like I'm telling you, life is suffering. Like a bad thing is definitely headed your way, and like the way you prepare for it kind of thing is by working on your mindset, and like learning how to control your own feelings, and like learning how to control your own body, learning how to eat well, and like learning of the things to do to kind of perfect that kind of, or optimize your living mental health. And because like there is a way to do it, and like I'm like living proof of it. And so if I leave you with something today, then that would probably be it.
Absolutely right. Thank you, Lawson. That would certainly be ringing in my ears for the rest of the day and forevermore, really. But I thank you once again, all of you, for sharing. And we've got some food now for you too. So thank you, everyone. Feel free to hang about a bit and have a bit of a chat. I know some of you have to leave, but thank you once again for coming along today. I really appreciate your support.
Thank you.